originally we started just putting it on Airbnb and seeing what we got, but I started actually posting on Facebook buy and sell groups. More than half of our bookings come from these private bookings. I get, probably sometimes 150 messages a day through Facebook on people looking for cottage rentals.
We also get a chance to do a little bit more diligence on these people.
True.
Because we have access to their Facebook profile. We purchased their cottage approximately 18 months ago, May of 2018. We purchased it for $436,000. On that, we did a 20% down payment, which is $87,200, which translates to a $348,000 first mortgage. Updated the cottage. We did new kitchen, new flooring, paint, trim, value-add renovation. The ARV on the cottage now is at $600,000. We're just in the process of completing the refinance at 80% loan to value, which is $480,000.
Yeah.
So
I love it. It's essentially like a pure BRRR'd on a vacation rental.
On a vacation rental. Certainly I've done multifamilies where I've been able to get 100% out and they've been better performing investments, but I've never been able to find a more affordable way to own a cottage.
In today's video, Kyle Ford breaks down for us how to operate a vacation rental. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with the idea of vacation rentals because usually you think you only have 12 good months to rent the property. But in fact, Kyle breaks down some alternative strategies to really juice up your cash flow and make sure that you can get that vacation rental property cash flowing. In fact, he takes us through a tour of his Grand Bend vacation rental in this video as well. When it comes to vacation rentals, a lot of people naturally assume Airbnb is the only platform. One of the things I found really interesting about your guys' strategy is the fact that you're not actually relying on Airbnb for all your bookings.
Right.
Do you mind kind of diving into that for us?
Yeah, so originally we started just putting it on Airbnb and seeing what we got, but I started actually posting on Facebook buy and sell groups and Facebook Marketplace, and honestly I would say more than half of our bookings come from these private bookings.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, and I get probably sometimes 150 messages a day through Facebook on people looking for cottage rentals. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's a really interesting technique, and the moment I heard that, the first thing that comes to mind is when you're, say, on Airbnb, you can sort by price, or you have that map and it shows all the prices, and I think that triggers a lot of people to naturally become price sensitive and start filtering only on price rather than any other amenities or situational factors. Where on these buy and sells, I feel like people aren't necessarily looking at the price as much as the photos, the experience, and all that.
Totally, and it gives me an opportunity to talk to people and sell them on the vacation experience as well. So,
and it probably makes you just like, it humanizes it more, because it probably feels like there's not just a generic host on the other end. It's really a person with a Facebook account. And
exactly.
We also get a chance to do a little bit more diligence on these people.
True.
Because we have access to their Facebook profile.
Yeah.
The other thing we're finding with it is we're getting people who didn't even know they were looking to rent a cottage. They just see it on a buy and sell group while they're looking for a new TV, and they say, oh great, look at that cottage, that looks great, we'll book it.
I didn't realize I could get it for that price. And things like that.
And it also actually helps too for Monday to, if we're trying to sell a Monday to Friday in September, for example. And people didn't know that you could get a Monday to Friday for that price, like you said. Whereas on Airbnb, they wouldn't outwardly look for those dates because they wouldn't think to. So,
yeah, absolutely. I love it. That's like, I think that's going to change the way I do my short-term rentals, honestly, hearing this, because it makes so much sense to me that, like, that's just a very interesting platform now to be attracting new tenants to. So, love that tip. You guys already saw it's a beautiful cottage on the inside, but it turns out when we look at the numbers, they're not too bad to look at either. So, Kyle, if you don't mind, just dive into it, break down for us the numbers behind this awesome cottage.
Great. So, this was a classic BRRR'd strategy for the vacation rental. We purchased the cottage approximately 18 months ago, May of 2018. We purchased it for $436,000. On that, we did a 20% down payment, which is $87,200, which translates to a $348,000 first mortgage. When we bought the cottage, it was in beautiful condition. The owner had passed away, and this was her primary residence. Now, with that being said, it was in beautiful condition, but it was grandma style. Lots of floral, lots of carpet, which running as a vacation rental just doesn't work. So what we did is we updated the cottage. We did new kitchen, new flooring, paint, trim. We didn't go down to the studs by any means, but a lot of cosmetics, value add renovation.
Yeah.
In that time period, over the course of the year when we did the reno, the market has gone up, and we also increased the value. This is the ARV on the cottage now is at $600,000. We're just in the process of completing the refinance at 80% loan to value, which is $480,000.
Yeah.
So
I love it. It's essentially like a pure BRRRR on a vacation rental.
On a vacation rental. So out of the 87 we put down and the 50,000 in reno, our total cash in is 137.2. What we're going to be looking at is $132,000 of cash out and $5,000 of our own money left in this deal.
Yeah.
So when Matt and I have talked here about the difference between the multifamilies and the vacation rentals, certainly I've done multifamilies where I've been able to get 100% out and they've been better performing investments, but I've never been able to find a more affordable way to own a cottage.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. And just for perspective, like literally right behind the camera is the beach. Like this is essentially beachfront property. So it's amazing to think that there's a way to execute on a vacation rental that's essentially beachfront and do a BRRRR at the same time. It's awesome. Absolutely.
So going forward, what that's going to look like for us, our new mortgage payment on this property is going to be $2,100. Annually, that's $25,200. Property taxes are $3,200. The other thing I wanted to note here is I got insurance at $2,200. For a single family home, that might seem high.
Yeah.
Now, I want to be very upfront that we are fully disclosed to our insurance agent that this is a short-term rental, which has added a significant premium onto our insurance, but with that being said, we're protected.
Yeah, and this is something I've touched upon in some other videos, but when it comes to insurance, like we don't want to try and pull the wool or trick our insurance company, because the only time we're going to find out we don't have the right coverage is when we're making a claim, and that's the time that you desperately need to have the right coverage. So yeah, I love the fact that you kind of broke that down for us.
Definitely. So what that looks like for us on the back end is our PITI, property principal, interest, taxes, and insurance is going to be $30,600 on this property. Going forward for our next 12 months, the 12 prime weeks of next summer, we're going to be renting for $31,200. That translates to $2,600 a week. We will be booked solid at that price, with a couple of weeks actually getting a little bit more of a premium than that.
Gotcha.
So at $31,200, you can see we can cover our base expenses. That doesn't include the shoulder seasons. So that's not including May, that's not including June, not including September and October, which we still get quite a bit of rentals in, as well as into the winter months. We actually have people in this area looking for 6-month rentals, which would be about $1,500 a month. So projected gross income for the next 12 months is at $50,000, and we're quite confident we're going to make that, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, I love it. It seems like a no-brainer when you lay things down, but I think a lot of people, when they look at vacation rentals or vacation properties in general, they always just emotionally get attached to it rather than breaking down the numbers and just making sure you can make a great investment of it at the same time.
Absolutely.
This is fantastic. Thanks so much, Kyle.
No problem.
Okay, Internet, I know you love complaining. The audio is probably not going to be perfect on this segment, but the view is, so we're going to put up with it. We're here in Grand Bend, Ontario. We're literally on the sandy beach. Sand's blowing in our face because it's the off season, but guys, look at this view. It's absolutely fantastic. And Kyle and Chesley, I just really appreciate you guys letting us come out here and check out this amazing view.
Happy to have you.
When it comes to short-term rentals, one of the biggest fears people have is, what's the worst case? What's going to happen to our property? What happens if 20 people decide to come and party on the beach, especially with like such a beautiful vacation rental? So I'd love to hear your guys' just honest experiences. What's been kind of the worst thing that's happened so far running a vacation rental?
Quite honestly, we've had a ton of positive experiences. We even have some renters that leave our cottage in amazing condition and clean the whole time they're there, but we also have had some groups. We had one in particular, was it Canada Day? Yeah, Canada Day weekend. And they had about 30 people partying at the cottage. So obviously they were only supposed to have 10. They had 30. This was a booking through Airbnb. They ended up breaking a window. What else did they do? They were
mostly noise complaints that were disrupting to the neighbors and stuff. So at the end of the day, the window that they broke was a $150 replacement. We were able to take the full deposit for that due to our time and energy to fix that. So it was a $600 deposit. And, you know, obviously some apologies to the neighbors for that, and making sure we're focused on doing a little bit more vetting on that group, on a group of like that in the future. That would be the only real damage situation we've had. The other complaint, I would say, it would be around garbage. There's limits to how much garbage you can leave in these places.
Right.
And some people leaving a little bit too much garbage can be a bit of a challenge for us. But nonetheless, now we put safeguards in place that you can speak to.
Yeah. So we've set out very specific garbage rules, and I think one of the biggest things is damage deposits. Like, we've been taking damage deposits even for the private bookings that we do, and it's very, very important to do that, I think, because you can outline in your damage deposit that if somebody leaves too much garbage, that means money is going to be taken from their damage deposit. So I think that kind of scares people, and then they actually just listen. They just do what they're told because they don't want to have to pay that money. So,
and I think that's been part of our growing pain, is you need to be very clear. Our instruction manual started with a 1-page document. We're up to a 10-page booklet now. Where the questions that we didn't know people would ever ask, or with scenarios we didn't know, we've been able to, our FAQs are so detailed now that people are aware. If they leave garbage, you know, we charge, you know, we put a substantial fee on that where nobody's going to leave their garbage. So
I think, that's a great point. Just building the incentives in the right manner, right, to get people to behave appropriately. I love it. And I just love the fact that the more short-term rental hosts I talk to, the more we seem to realize that, like, a lot of these worst-case scenarios don't actually happen to our properties if we're properly vetting the people, if we're setting expectations from the start, and then if you're building house rules that are aligning both the host and the guest interest.
Absolutely.
I'm up to a lot more than just YouTube these days. I mean, did you know I have a software company? Control Your Property. It's property management software for Ontario landlords specifically. We've been pouring our hearts into this software for over a year now, and I'm really proud of the product we've created. If you're an Ontario landlord and you want to learn more, check out in the video description down below. I'll throw you guys a link. Have you guys been hearing about this Weibo limo tour? That's what myself and Jeff Weibo host every single month, a private real estate tour. And best part, you get come on a limo bus with 30 to 40 other real estate investors. As well, did you know you can hang out with me at the mansion? If you book a 2-hour in-person coaching session, I mean, you got to figure out how to get your ass here. But we'll talk about real estate, your goals, business, like whatever you guys want to talk about. You've got my attention for 2 hours if you book that coaching session.
Just about to get started with a coaching session. We're going to be talking about wholesaling as well. This guy's going to transition to becoming a full-time flipper. So we're going to break down his roadmap and really reverse engineer his goals to make sure he doesn't lose all his money in his first year as a full-time real estate investor.
Just got back from London. Wanted to give a shout out to the man, Matt McKeever. This guy literally propelled me months ahead with my real estate flipping business. I really didn't know what to expect going into this coaching session. But honestly, he was so thorough with my questions, so generous with his network and opening it up to me. And I'm walking away knowing exactly what I need to do, and I'm just super excited to hit the ground running.
I'm sure the audience is really curious, and I'm very curious. When you're booking guests outside of Airbnb, so when you're finding someone on, say, Facebook Marketplace, buy and sell, how do you guys go about that process? How are you, like, getting, you know, how do you feel comfortable not booking with Airbnb?
So we do have a rental agreement that we put together, and we would send it through HelloSign, which is like an e-doc signing service. So that's kind of how we do that.
How did you guys go about finding or building the right template for a short-term rental contract or agreement?
It started with a furnished rental contract that I had from other furnished rentals I did in the city. We made some amendments to it. We had a lawyer check it over, make sure it's accomplishing what we want.
Awesome.
Key things that we're looking for is we want to make sure that there's no tie into a relation to anything to do with the LTB, the Landlord Tenant Board. It's got to be an exclusive agreement for short-term stay.
Gotcha.
There's some wording in there and some verbiage that was put in there by our lawyer to make sure it was done properly. And the second part of that is when we spoke about 16 Pine, our other rental. you need to disclose that this is a short-term rental to your insurance company to make sure you're covered for this. So Airbnb has some great protection built into it, but having proper insurance on the property, if, you know, God forbid there's a fire, major damage, anything like that, we want to make sure we're properly insured, being that there's a short-term guest in the property.
Awesome. And so how does payment collection and all that work when you're not doing it through Airbnb?
Yeah, so we actually accept everything via e-transfer.
Okay.
Which seems to work really well.
And are you guys collecting a security deposit or a damage deposit up front?
Yeah, so we actually ask for it a little bit closer to the check-in date.
Okay.
Just because it gets complicated with your banking. You don't want to have the $500 in your account and then have to send it back after. So we do ask for it about 3 days, a week to 3 days in advance of their booking, so that they're not sending it us all at once, and it's easier on the guests too, not having to put as much money out front.
And for our next season coming up, we're looking at taking credit cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
We feel that we can get more money paid up front.
Yeah.
When they have the ability to put on a credit card. Also, it's also from the guest perspective. There are a couple people who are a little concerned when they're booking through Facebook.
Yeah.
Is this a scam?
Yeah.
So a lot of them want to book on their credit card just as an additional security. If
Makes
somebody
sense.
was doing this fraudulently, that they would be protected on their credit card. So I think from our perspective, by accepting credit card, it'll increase our revenue, as well as give our guests additional security when booking without using a traditional site.
Yeah, I love the creativity you guys are implementing here, just with your different strategies and approaches to these vacation rentals. Like, my staff, we're definitely going to start doing Facebook buy and sells. That's a thing.
Thanks everyone for checking out our cottages, and if you want to follow any of our content, you can follow me on Instagram, SP Home Staging and Design, and then
Or you can check out our website, vacay, as in Southern Ontario, vacayrentals.com. And if you're looking to rent a place in Grand Bend or invest in Grand Bend, come chat with us. We'd love to help you guys out.
Thanks again to Kyle for taking the time to break down the numbers behind his vacation rental. If you guys are interested in short-term rentals or maybe Airbnb, check out my group, Double Your Gross Rents, on Facebook. It's a free community for landlords and short-term rental hosts.